Hi guys! Welcome to Crystal Cast Episode 2. This is a show where I talk about anything and everything Sailor Moon. Anime, manga, musicals, merchandise, everything. I got a puppy in my lap, and she has decided to join me, Miss Skipper. It was funny in my last React video, people were saying, it looks like you got Luna in your lap. I have got a ton of Moony stuff to talk about today, so I'm just going to jump right in. The last episode of Sailor Moon Crystal that we saw was Act 8. It was Minako, Sailor V, and everybody was super excited about the episode because I know a lot of people have been waiting a long time for Sailor Venus to show up. So she finally did, and but there was a couple things that I saw many times people asking about or commenting about, not only in the comments to my videos, but all across the internet. So I just wanted to address those things real quick. People saying that Artemis's eyes are green in Sailor Moon Crystal. In the original anime, they were blue. So this confused a lot of people. They didn't change the color for Crystal. They actually kept the original color the same in the original manga, and in Pretty Guardian and a lot of other incarnations of Sailor Moon. Artemis's eyes are green. They were actually changed to be blue for the original 90s anime. So the question is not why are they green, the question is why did, back in the day, in the 90s, why did they change it to blue? I don't know. I like it either way. I'm used to seeing Artemis with blue eyes, so that's kind of how I'm used to seeing him. When I first saw him in Crystal, I actually didn't put two and two together. I didn't realize, oh, his eyes are different. I kind of noticed that something about how he looked was different. But so that was it. It was I'm not used to seeing him in anime form with green eyes, but so that is the reason. Also, a lot of people commenting on his voice, saying that his voice was very deep. It is very deep. I personally, it's just a personal preference. I didn't have a problem with it. I didn't comment on it at all when I first watched the episode. So I don't know. I just kind of wanted to bring that up because it was something that I saw a lot of people comment on it. There was a lot of people that seemed to not like it. They said it's too deep for this little cat. But we have to remember that it's the very first episode. It might change a little bit as we go on, as the situation isn't so serious, and just as the voice actor kind of, as they get into their roles. I don't like to judge the voice actors on their very first episode. For example, I didn't care for Makoto, Sailor Jupiter's voice in the first episode because it was very, very deep. And I was like, that just doesn't fit her. But in subsequent episodes, when you kind of get to see her relaxed and hanging out with Usagi, and then when she kind of gets a little more familiar with being Sailor Jupiter, I like it a lot more in later episodes. So I kind of, I'm reserving judgment on Artemis and Minako's voice for when we actually see them a little more. But so I don't mind, personally, I don't mind Artemis's voice, and the playfulness in Minako's voice that I'm used to from the 90s anime isn't there, but again, she's not playful and fun yet. She's all business. She's concentrated on her mission. So once, even though we've got a lot of seriousness coming up, once a lot of that is a little bit alleviated, then I think we're going to see the more playful side of Minako and Artemis, and that's something I'm really looking forward to. The next thing is a lot of talk about this, about Jupiter's ability to fly, apparently, or kind of teleport everyone up. A lot of people mistook it right away for Sailor Teleport, myself included. I was like, oh, they're just going to give us Sailor Teleport with this powerful ability that the Sailor Senshi have, and kind of not explain it. But that's not what it was. It was not Sailor Teleport. It was this ability, this unnamed ability that Jupiter has to, I guess, not teleport, but to take the Senshi across short distances. She brought them from the ground up to the top of the Tokyo Tower to confront Kunzite. And this ability was in the manga, but it was not explained. She just kind of does it. Somebody commented in the comment section of that video, my React video. Archangel Apollo gave a wonderful explanation that I think fits very, very well and actually makes this ability of hers make a lot of sense. Archangel says her power could come from generating an electromagnetic field that can ride the magnetic fields of the Earth. And that actually has to do with Jupiter's like electricity and lightning and air abilities, is that she is actually tapping into the magnetic fields of the Earth and kind of like riding these over short distances. I loved that explanation. This is just an explanation that they came up with, so it's not like, don't take it as Sailor Moon law or canon or anything, but I think it's an explanation that makes a lot of sense, and it makes sense why Jupiter can do that then. Why this is different for those who know who got it confused with Sailor Teleport. This is the reason that what makes Sailor Teleport different is Jupiter's ability. I don't know if she uses it anywhere else in the manga, but she was able to bring the Senshi up a relatively short distance. She went from the ground to the top of the Tokyo Tower. Now that is a short distance in comparison to what actual Sailor Teleport does. Excuse me. Sailor Teleport can bring them, they use that and they actually do like disappear and teleport to, we've seen them use it, slight spoilers here possibly, so maybe mute for a minute. We've seen them use Sailor Teleport to get to the moon, to get to the North Pole, and to get to asteroids that are coming, that are in the space around Earth. So there's different times in, this is all in the anime. I don't know, I am not familiar with Sailor Teleport as how it works, or even if it exists in the manga. So this is coming from the 90s anime. They use Sailor Teleport at least 3 times to go over very long distances. So I don't think that Jupiter's ability could take them to the moon, but Sailor Teleport can. So that's the difference. Okay, moving on. One more thing that I saw a lot of people talking about after Act 8 was this complaint or this criticism about wanting more character development for the characters, particularly Amy and Ray, as a lot of people have said that they've kind of gone into the background, and it's like, who are these characters? And even as far as people saying, why should we believe that these girls are magically friends after meeting one day? Although that's how you make friends, but that people, it's funny, people are kind of almost missing the filler of the 90s anime. The 90s anime was filled with filler. And there, a lot of times you don't appreciate that for what it does for character development. There's episodes that are completely centered around one character. Now, there were some manga arcs, even some, not arcs, but even like some special episodes or some special acts that concentrated on a character, like Casablanca Memory concentrated on Ray. You had the Super S special that concentrated on Mercury. And so you have these short side stories that did a little bit of character development for the Inner Senshi. And with things moving so fast in Crystal, we're not getting a lot of that character development that we saw in the 90s anime. And it's interesting to me to see people suddenly appreciate all the filler. It's kind of neat. There's advantages and disadvantages to both. Of course, you have with the filler, you have the character development, but it is filler. You're like, come on, move the story along already. I mean, Sailor Mercury didn't show up until episode 8 in the 90s anime. So sometimes you're like, come on, just get to the next thing. But with Crystal, we've seen it move so fast that the there's none of that wishing something would happen, because something is always happening. In every single episode, you have these wow moments, these big moments, but you don't have the character development. So there's good and bad to each. Personally, I'm just glad we have both. We have a version of Sailor Moon that has the filler, that has the character development, and we have a version of Sailor Moon that doesn't, that is just all straight story. And I like both. And I'm glad that we have a version of both. And I think that's really cool. I think that longtime fans of the series can draw upon what they already know from other versions of Sailor Moon, what they already know about the characters, what those versions told us about the characters, and put it into Crystal. Say, okay, personally, I don't need a bunch of character development for Amy, Rei, Makoto, Minako, because I know who they are already. They might be slightly different in Crystal, but they're all essentially the same. And so I know who those characters are. So it doesn't bother me. But for people who are it's their very first exposure to Sailor Moon is Crystal, I'm curious to how the character development or the lack thereof is affecting them. So if you are a very first time watcher of Sailor Moon Crystal, go down in the comments and tell us about what your experience is, because as a longtime Moonie, I really can't know what your experience, like your raw experience is to the series, because I know these characters inside and out. So I'm spending way too much time on this. I've got a lot to get through. All right, so we're going to move on. That's all I had to say about Act 8. We're going to move on to the news section. There's not a lot of news. I mean, there's always a lot of stuff coming out. But the one thing that I wanted to bring up was that the Sailor Moon musical, Petite, Estranger, I probably butchered how to say that, and I'm sorry, but it is, as far as we know, it's the R musical, and it's over, as far as we know, it's over in Japan. But they just announced that they're going to have a couple performances in Shanghai, in China. That is huge, because there has never been a full Sailor Moon musical performed outside of Japan. At least from my understanding, this is the full musical that's going to be performed over there. There has been fan events done in other countries for SeraMyu, but never a full musical. So this is pretty big. If they're willing to do a full musical in another country, I think that opens up the future possibility of them bringing it all over the world. That might be wishful thinking, but I love SeraMyu so much. And if there was any possibility that I could go see one without having to travel to Japan to see it, I would just be so happy. I don't even know how to form words. So, yeah. And so let's move on to, there's a couple, let's move on to the merchandise section. I have different sections now. And so in the merchandise section, I can't possibly list everything that's coming out, because they are putting Sailor Moon on everything now. Towels, pillows, like I said, feminine hygiene products, pencils, poster boards, pencil boards. There's file folders. There's everything that they're putting Sailor Moon on now. But the things that I'm most interested in is stuff like figures and dolls, and like the actual Blu-rays and DVDs and the toys, stuff like that. The stuff that I collect is what I'm most interested in. And what's cool is that the first Sailor Moon Crystal Blu-ray came out with episodes 1 and 2 all like fixed up. The animation is fixed up. There's some great blogs and stuff where you can see direct comparisons. I'll link to one down in the comments. That's really good. And so the first Blu-ray box set for that came out, and it's really cool. It opens up and it plays music, and there's little charms and stuff in there, and like the booklet is really beautiful. There's a lot of unboxing videos, so go check some of those out. And they announced the Sailor Mercury one, Volume 2 with Sailor Mercury on it, and the art on these things is absolutely gorgeous. I just love it so much. The second thing that I wanted to talk about in the merchandise section is, I think my puppy wants to get down. second thing I wanted to talk about was huge. The star lockets or music boxes. They are Premium Bandai is re-releasing those. They're remaking them. They look exactly the same as the one they made in the 90s. There's a gold version and there's a pink version, and this is huge. These items are so incredibly rare. The gold one is incredibly rare. The pink one, though, I was shocked that they're remaking the pink one, because the pink one was so rare that up until maybe 5 years ago, I didn't even know it existed. It is so rare. And I actually, at a convention once, I had a friend who had both of them, and she brought both of them to the convention. And I mean, this thing was worth thousands of dollars, like, to collectors. It was insane. This pink one, like, it was one of those things that you would see up for sale like maybe every 5 years, and it would cost like thousands of dollars. It was insane. It was so rare. So the fact that they're remaking those and re-releasing those and giving fans a chance to own those is incredible. Personally, I could not resist ordering the pink one, because I don't have a lot of money to buy new Sailor Moon stuff right now, but how can I not buy the pink one? Because this thing is one of the rarest Sailor Moon items ever made, and especially as far as the roleplay toys go, which is my favorite thing ever. So how could I resist not getting this thing? It was expensive, but it was no $3,000. I guess the last thing real quick in the merchandise section is that I have to give a thank you to my friend Gadrona for giving me this amazing the die-cast charm for the time key. She gave me that, and it's beautiful. It's all fuzzy, you can't see it, but but I'm going to make this into a necklace, and so I can wear a time key. Oh, I love it so much. So thank you for that. So yeah, that's about all in the merchandise section. So I'm going to move on to something quite interesting now. I got an email from Theodore Jefferson this past week, who is putting together a really cool book about Sailor Moon. And it's going to be titled The Incredible Untold Story of Sailor Moon. And this is... I'm going to read you something here that gives you some background information on this. Probably better than I would just kind of blurt the information. So I'm going to read this to you. This is a really cool book about Sailor Moon that's going to be coming out, and it sounds really cool. So, The Incredible Untold Story of Sailor Moon will be the definitive history of the world-famous television series and manga in the United States. The book is being written by author Theodore Jefferson, a professional journalist and former marketing consultant for DiC Entertainment, which acquired the rights to adapt Sailor Moon for English-speaking markets in the mid-1990s. Mr. Jefferson will bring together numerous sources, including interviews with animation industry colleagues, national correspondents, key entertainment executives, and best-selling authors, to paint a picture of Sailor Moon that will astonish even longtime fans of the show. Everyone who reads this book, including Sailor Moon's creators, will learn things about these characters they never knew before. Sailor Moon changed the world. This book will explain how and why. Mr. Jefferson and his editor Larissa Kane are launching a crowdfunding campaign to cover the cost of interviews and a print run of the first edition of the book. If they reach their goal, they also plan to record an audiobook to join them in collecting a first-of-its-kind history and analysis of the Sailor Moon phenomenon from its origins through Sailor Moon Crystal. Every contributor will appear in the book by name, and the first top category contributor at launch will earn the title Duke or Duchess of the Moon and appear on a featured page. So if you guys want to check this out, the homepage for the campaign is moon.sablewolf.net. The URL and links and stuff will be down in the description. This will get you to the campaign's homepage when it launches. You can also participate on Twitter with the hashtag HimeTheBook. I'm working with Theodore to bring you guys updates on this as it happens, and as the project progresses. So, this sounds like it could be something really cool for Moonies. I know there's been other books like this, but this is getting interviews, from actual, executives here in the US and in Japan and all over the world, actually. It's kind of like whoever they can get interviews with, they're going to get interviews with about Sailor Moon. And it's going to be like this comprehensive history of Sailor Moon and how it's impacted the world. It sounds really cool. I'm going to put links down in the description for you guys. Make sure to check out, there's a really interesting Reddit thread on this where Theodore is answering questions, and it just sounds really like these people know their stuff, and they know Sailor Moon. Like, just in that Reddit thread, there's like information, like insider information, like especially with like the Deke Dub and like their involvement in the process that that I've never heard before, and stuff that is like just it's cool stuff. I highly recommend go checking that out. And links to Twitter accounts and the project homepage, their Indiegogo or GoFundMe. Oh gosh, I'm sorry, I forget which one off the top of my head, but they have a campaign going. So if you guys wanted to check that out and possibly be credited in the book, well, you will definitely be credited if you donate to them and help them get this off the ground. So go check that out. It sounds really awesome. All right, now we're going to move on to the question section. Question time! Once again, I read every single one of your comments. I read every single one of your questions. I can't possibly answer them all, especially live here on the show. So I've just picked the best ones. Some of them more than one person asked, and I just kind of picked the first one I came across. So if I didn't pick your question, it's nothing personal. I have to narrow it down. So the first section here, this is the no spoilers or very little spoiler section for those of you who are watching Crystal for the very first time and it is your first exposure to Sailor Moon and you don't want spoilers about all the other stuff in the Sailor Moon universe. I've simply put those questions first, and then I will warn you when I'm getting to questions that may have some spoilers. So the first question comes from Cutie Honey 1994. I've always meant to watch Cutie Honey. It's on my list. How do you feel about the characters' changed personalities? Like in the original anime, Rei was short-tempered, hothead, and in the manga and Crystal, she's calm, mature, and a bit reserved. This is something else that you kind of get with filler. You get a little bit more of their personality. With Crystal, with the plot moving so fast, you don't have time for these 5-minute Usagi and Rei blowing up at each other, screaming, pulling each other's hair and arguing. You don't have time for that in Crystal because it moves so fast. I'm a tiny bit disappointed that they're in the last act. There was a scene in the manga where Rei did kind of say something a little snarky to Usagi. It wasn't this big blow up, but she kind of offhandedly said, like, well, why don't you grow up and act mature? You're in front of your princess. Grow up a little bit. And they completely glossed over that in Crystal. And it's like, that's part of Rei's personality to me, is that she's hot-headed, and she has this temper. So I don't know, it's like, to completely take that out, it's like, well, then who is she? So I'm a little bit sad. So far, they haven't showed us a lot of the things about their personality that they could show us, and I don't know why they haven't. But again, we are still very early. There's a lot going on. There's a lot happening very quickly in Crystal. We don't have those filler episodes to build up the characters' personalities. And I've already gone over the advantages and disadvantages of that. But as far as how I feel about this, to me personally, the 90s anime is that those are the characters to me. I know there's a lot of different versions of the show, and there's different versions of the characters, but to me personally, the original anime, that is Sailor Moon. Those are the characters that I know and love. That is how I know them. So to see Rei so kind of calmed down, at least so far, it's kind of sad. And that kind of goes for all the characters. I mean, some of them have Makoto's introductory episode was beautiful in showing us all the aspects of her personality. I hope we get to see more of how she's, you know, all the girly girl things that she's talented at. But at the same time, we know that she's very strong and very powerful. So yeah, I don't know if that answered it exactly, but that's my opinion on it. Next question is from Yoshika93. What do you think of Usagi and Mamoru's relationship in Crystal compared to the 90s version? Personally, I loved their relationship in Crystal and the manga more than the 90s anime. Now that I'm watching the 90s anime, I see that there was no basis to how their love started. Sure, Sailor Moon and Tuxedo Mask loved each other, but pretty much Usagi and Mamoru couldn't stand each other, at first anyway. Whereas in Crystal, even though they didn't admit it, you can see that it was love at first sight due to the fact that they are Serenity and Endymion. Also the fact that they knew earlier than the other anime that they were Sailor Moon and Tuxedo Mask. I see Usagi and Mamoru's relationship in the 90s anime more as like more of a realistic version of like their relationship, as in, like, you know, the two people meet, they're maybe not so sure about each other, they slowly learn about each other, they very slowly, you know, fall in love with each other. So whereas Crystal, it truly is like a love at first sight thing. Like as soon, they had a couple little squabbles, but pretty much you could tell it was love at first sight. And then they very quickly got together, and that was like, you know, it's because of their past lives. This is maybe shouldn't have been in the spoiler free section. But it's obvious. So there's a good and a bad to each. I see Crystal as more of like more romantic, more like this dreamy, you know, fairy tale situation where you meet your love at, you know, it's love at first sight. You meet the person you're meant to be with. You know that you're supposed to be with that person, and very quickly you get together, and you know, you just know that you're meant to be together. I'm a little biased on this actually, because to me that's not so much of a fairy tale. I'm not going to go into super detail about this, but that's pretty much how I met my husband. It was love at first sight. It was like the moment we met, we knew we were meant to be together, and things just went really fast after that, and we just knew that there was something beyond us that brought us together, and we were meant to be together, and it's been wonderful ever since. So I see the Crystal version of Usagi and Mamoru's relationship as very realistic. Maybe not common, but it happens, and it can happen, and I think that's a beautiful thing. I think that's wonderful to know that kind of thing can happen. You can meet your soulmate, basically, and just kind of know that you're meant to be together. So that's how I see, I can actually relate to the Crystal version and the manga version. I can actually relate to that version. Whereas I think maybe there's a ton of people who can relate to the 90s version, where you meet someone and maybe you're not so sure about them at first, but then slowly you fall in love with them. So yeah, so neither of them are bad, and again, it's cool that we get both perspectives of their relationship. Okay, next is Coco Arguenta. Sorry if I messed that up. I would like to know what is supposed to be Princess Serenity's hair color. I picked this question because I've seen it actually a couple times. People are really confused. What is her hair color? They've seen it as blonde and they've seen it as silver. She says, would you prefer to keep it blonde, or should she give the silver hair a try? In pretty much, as far as I know, in pretty much every version of Sailor Moon except the manga, it stays blonde when she's Princess Serenity. In the manga, it's silver, and I believe it's always silver when she's in Princess Serenity form. So that's all it is. It's just like Artemis's eyes. It's different versions have a different color. I don't really have a preference. It looks like in Crystal it's going to be kept blonde. For because of in the Moon Pride music video, we see a lot of Princess Serenity, and it's blonde, maybe even like a slightly lighter blonde, but it's definitely not silver. So yeah, I don't really have a preference. I think both are beautiful. I kind of think it would be cool in Crystal if we saw it silver, just because we haven't seen it silver in an anime version. And the silver is very pretty, but I am perfectly fine with both. Okay, next question is from Zareen. Some really nice compliments, so thank you. The question is, do you believe that we are going to get a new opening theme and video by Momoru Clover Z with the beginning of the next arc? I sure hope so. I figure just because of it's pretty much confirmed that we're getting Sailor Moon R, and so with all of the new, with the new villains, all the new characters, we have to get a new opening. They can't keep showing Queen Beryl in the opening. So yeah, I do believe. I don't know if we'll get a new song. I would guess no, because Moon Pride is too friggin' epic to only use it for like 13 episodes. So I think that we will get a new opening. I'm pretty sure we're going to get a new opening. I do not think we're going to get a new song, which I'm perfectly happy with, because Moon Pride is amazing. The second question is, in the manga, Mars had a red stone stuck on the front of her Sailor Fuku next to the skirt, and Jupiter has a green belt similar to Sailor Venus. What do you believe might be the reason for not having faithfully reproduced Jupiter and Mars's outfits? I have no idea why they didn't add those touches on their outfits. I have no idea, and it makes me very sad, because there's very few versions of Sailor Moon where they actually keep those details on Jupiter and Mars and Venus, and I'm kind of surprised that they kept Venus and they kept the things that make Mercury's outfit unique, but they completely just glossed over Jupiter and Mars, and I have no clue why they did. The only condolence I have for this is that Naoko must have approved it, because that's a big change. I don't know why Naoko would have taken those away. I have no clue. Unless they play a part later on and she's decided to take that out or something, or they have some, if they have a meaning or something. I don't know. I'm not that familiar with the manga as far as those little details. So I don't know. I don't have an answer for you there, and I hope they tell us someday, like maybe in some background interview, like why they chose to keep those details out. But it's very sad, because it made them unique, and now Mars and Jupiter, it's just like, oh, it's just a different color. They just have different colored skirts, and it's like those little things that made them unique aren't there, and that's kind of sad. Next question is Ray Bebe. What are some of your fondest memories of being a Sailor Moon fan when you were a child or teenager? For me, I would always sneak out into the backyard in the middle of the night and play Sailor Moon, and wish I didn't do this, but I would take my crescent moon wand everywhere, even swimming with me. Oh my god, that makes me so sad, but that's so cute at the same time. Gosh, I mean, I have so many fond memories of being a new Sailor Moon fan. Especially, being a teenager, and it was pretty awesome that I got into Sailor Moon just about the time where I could start like working, and so I could start, once I discovered eBay, it was all over. I was getting 3 packages a day with Sailor Moon something, and then my parents thought I was crazy. And another funny story, maybe not classified under fond memory, but a funny story, is that for years, especially once I discovered SeraMyu, and I needed to collect all the SeraMyu CDs, for years, for my birthday and for Christmas, I would basically order my own Christmas and birthday presents. because my parents didn't know how to order stuff off the internet. So I would say, okay, tell me how much I have to spend, and I will go and order that equivalent in Mew CDs from, order them from Japan and have them shipped over, and then I'll give them to you to wrap to give to me on Christmas morning or on my birthday. And it was like the funniest, most awkward thing. And I'm so happy that they were cool with that, because it was like at that point in time, there was nothing else I wanted. All I wanted was these Sailor Moon CDs or other items. At one Christmas, that's how I got the entire original manga set. All 18 books of the manga is I asked my parents if I could have that for Christmas. And so they said yes, so I ordered it and then gave it to them to wrap to give to me. I guess those are some fond memories, is actually opening Christmas gifts on Christmas morning that even though I knew what they were Sailor Moon items that I desperately wanted and I desperately treasured, and that I still have today. So that is a pretty fun memory. Another kind of embarrassing story I'm going to throw out there, because I know someone had asked for another embarrassing Sailor Moon story, was that after I was a senior in high school when I got my Sailor Moon World Moonstick, this right here. And I actually asked my mom if I could bring that moonstick when I got my senior pictures done. And I said, can I go over to my senior pictures and pose with the moonstick, because it's so pretty and I love it so much. And she said no, but but I have this memory of asking her, like, and being all embarrassed, like, can I have this in my pictures? And she's like, no, you can't have your Sailor Moon toys in your senior pictures. But I tried. Next question is Oscar Ibarra. I thought this was a very cool question, and because there's a story behind it. Loving Sailor Moon, do you love astronomy? And I love this question because it reminds me of another kind of a fond memory, I should say. This goes in with Ray's question. I have this distinct memory of being outside at night at home, and I was looking up at the stars. It was a very clear sky. It was all the stars were out. They were bright. It was beautiful, and I was looking up at the stars. And my mom comes up to me and she says, she knew that I liked the planets. I really enjoy, I enjoy astronomy. I always had an interest in it. And she saw me looking up at the stars one day, and she came up to me and she said, do you like looking at the stars? Do you like astronomy because you like Sailor Moon? And I said, it's the opposite. I like Sailor Moon because I love astronomy. And of course that's not the only reason I like Sailor Moon, but it's definitely something that drew me to it, that gave me an instant connection with it, because ever since I was very little, I've always enjoyed astronomy. I've always enjoyed learning about the planets. I've always enjoyed learning about the different stars, the planets, the moons, the properties of the planets, which ones are terrestrial, which ones are gas-based. And so it's very cool that she asked me that, because I kind of got to say to her that I've always been interested in astronomy. You guys are even making me remember memories that I had not thought about in a long time. It's very cool. D. Samsuni asks, I just love the song Moonlight Densetsu from the 90s anime, which was the theme song. Do you think that Sailor Moon Crystal will incorporate it somehow? Maybe like an updated version of it, or at least an instrumental version. Just as far as logistics and the way everything works behind the scenes, I would say that no, we're probably not going to see Moonlight Densetsu in Sailor Moon Crystal, or we're not going to hear it in Sailor Moon Crystal. Just as far as like, it's probably, I don't know who has like the rights to what song or what. It's like it's there have been times where I've been watching other anime series or movies or something, and I want to see or I want to hear that piece of nostalgia in the new one, something like a song, and I don't hear it. And that's happened so many times, I can't think of any specific examples, but that's happened so many times that I've kind of given up on stuff like that. Like hoping, oh, I hope we hear Moonlight Densetsu. Now, do I hope that I'm wrong? Yes, of course I hope we hear Moonlight Densetsu and Crystal. I will freak out. Actually, didn't Momoclo do a version of Moonlight Densetsu, or someone else did a version? Wow, if that's true, I could be completely wrong. If Momoclo got the rights to sing Moonlight Densetsu, which actually they did when they first announced the new Sailor Moon anime, Momoclo was doing a concert in France, and they did sing Moonlight Densetsu very badly, but they sang it. I don't know if they like recorded a studio version of it. If they did, then there's a strong possibility that we'll hear it. And I think that would be amazing. I hope so. Oh, the nostalgia feels would all come back. Oh my gosh. So yeah. I don't know. Okay, moving on. This is, even though I've maybe kind of sort of there were maybe a couple little spoilery things, this is the section that might be bigger spoilers. So if you super want to be 100% unspoiled, which it's the internet, I don't know how you could have not been spoiled on things like there's Outer Senshi, then stop now. So Brenda Vargas says, hello Peachy, here's my question. Would you like to meet someone from the Sailor Moon world? Naoko, the SeraMyu actors, the voice actors, etc. If so, whom? Keep it up, I love your videos. Thank you. Of course, I want to meet every single person who was ever involved with Sailor Moon. But the ones that I would most like to meet, of course, Naoko, Kotono Mitsuishi, the voice of Usagi, of course, would be amazing to meet. My favorite voice actor, of course, is Megumi Ogata, who voiced Haruka, Sailor Uranus, so of course I would like to meet her. But the something I've always dreamed of doing is meeting the SeraMyu actors. Unfortunately, not they're, you know, I'm the biggest fan of the ones that are no longer in Mew. And for those who don't know, I am completely obsessed with Naoko, Takagi Nao, all these Japanese names. Nao Takagi, I am super obsessed with. She played Sailor Uranus through the second, third, and fourth stages of SeraMyu back in the day. She was Sailor Uranus for a very long time, and she was the best one ever. Most people agree that she was one of the best. And she's always been my number one. Like, if I could meet one person, I would meet her because she's amazing. But everybody, I would love to meet everybody. Marina is just the cutest little thing ever. I would love to meet her. Of course Naoko. Though that would be a very rare event indeed. Dominar Agetro, I apologize if I mispronounced that, asks, which one is your favorite Sailor Senshi attack from the 90s? I'm divided between Moon Healing Escalation and Crescent Beam. To go along with that, which one do you prefer, the stock animation of the 90s or the approach that they're using in Sailor Moon Crystal? And what is your opinion regarding the use or overuse of stock animation back in the 90s? Did it ever make you cringe because of how they used it? I loved the way they did the attacks and transformations back in the 90s. So for those who don't know, basically in the 90s anime, their attacks were exactly like the transformations are in Crystal, where it's just reused. So every time they transform, you see the same animation every time. It was like that for their attacks in the 90s anime. Every single attack, pretty much, was this stock animation. like, you'd have the 10 seconds or whatever of whatever attack they were doing. I enjoyed that. I liked that a lot. I never had any problem with it. I never saw it as, oh, they're reusing it, or, they're just being lazy and not wanting to animate it. No, I saw that as, if Venus is doing Crescent Beam, then she has that animation that she is performing this attack. She's not just throwing light at them. It's this event where she has to call out an attack phrase. So you have this animation to go with that. I like how they're doing it in Crystal as well, because you get a new animation every time, even if it's very quick. You're getting a new animation. You also get to see a little better how they're kind of attacking really quickly. Like if all of the Inner Senshi threw their attacks at Kunzite at the same time, like they did in episode 8, it would take a while, because you would have to see the full animation of each Senshi play out completely, and then you would see them all go at the enemy at once, even though it took a while, one after the other, for them to play out all of those attacks. Whereas in Crystal, you can kind of go, okay, Mercury's, the attacks just left my brain. But, you have Mercury Aqua Mist and Akiryo Taizen, Supreme Thunder, Crescent Boomerang, and it was real quick. And so it was more believable that they were all doing it at the same time in rapid succession right after one another, and they would all attack Kunzite at the same time. Whereas that was a little less believable in the 90s anime. But I didn't have any problem with that because of what I explained. So yeah, as far as which one of the Senshi attacks is my favorites from the 90s anime, there are so many. I don't think I could possibly pick a favorite. And of course, Sailor Moon's are longer and flashier than everyone else's. But I would say for the Senshi, I would say that my favorite, I've always loved Venus's attacks. I love Venus Love Me Chain is one of my favorites. And I love that she uses the chain outside of combat as well. Like, she could, actually hold an enemy with the chain wrapped around it. I like Mars's. I like Burning Mandala. I like Mars Flame Sniper. There's a lot, and they're all good. I mean, I've always liked Dead Scream. Pluto's attack always looked very cool. As far as I kind of put Sailor Moon's in a different category because they're so long and drawn out, and they're longer and more epic. It's so hard. It's so hard to say which one I would like the best. Probably. I don't even know. I couldn't pick. I mean, I like Moon Healing Escalation just for its simplicity. The rest are like, when you get all the way to the end, when you get to Starlight, Silver Moon Crystal Power Kiss is the last one. And when you get to that point, it's like, this thing is so long. So she's got multiple pieces to her wand. It's like crazy, and it's impressive, but like some of those after a while do get kind of like, okay, we get it, you're attacking, you're healing the enemy, come on. I don't know. Okay, so let's just move on. Long story short, Venus and Mars are probably my favorite attacks. Renrin Taiho asks 2 questions. In the original anime, Kunzite and Zoisite were lovers, though they didn't show much, but in the English dub, they turned them into close comrades. I disagree. I think they were still lovers. They just turned Zoisite into a girl. The same thing happened with Haruka and Michiru's relationship. How do you feel about that? And do you think they might do the same thing again if they ever dub Crystal? No, I can guarantee you that they will not. The times were different back when they dubbed the original series, and they had to change things because of just like the channels they were putting it on, the demographic they were going after, and everything. But nowadays with the internet, everybody knows if you change stuff like that, the backlash is going to be severe, and we know for a fact that Viz has the right to dub Sailor Moon Crystal. And especially seeing as they were putting out a version of Sailor Moon, the original series, that is 100% faithful. They're not changing genders, they're not changing names, they're not changing the story, or they're not cutting scenes, nothing. So, since that is 100% faithful, there's absolutely no reason that they would change anything about Crystal. So, Crystal's new dub by Viz is going to be 100% accurate to the original. So, thank you, Viz. Question 2, how do you feel about the voice actors all being different aside from Usagi? Do you like the new voices or the old ones? Why? Of course I love the old ones because, like I said, to me, the 90s anime is Sailor Moon, and those voices are the characters' voices. So, of course, I love the 90s anime voices better. All of them. That doesn't mean that I don't love the Crystal ones. It just means that my heart is faithful to the 90s anime. So those are the voices. I was so happy, as was most of the Mooney fandom, when they announced that Kotono was going to be Usagi again. If you haven't seen it, there's the live stream of the event, the press event that they actually announced the voice actors. When they announce Usagi, when they announce Kotono Mitsuishi is Usagi, like, you can hear the cheers from the audience. People were so happy. And what's even more beautiful is after the announcement, they had like short little interviews, or they had a little message from each of the new voice actors, as well as Kotono. And Kotono's message was so perfect because she said, I know that the announcement that I'm reprising my role is going to make a lot of you very happy, and I know that it's going to make a lot of you upset. And she said, no matter what your reaction, you're having that reaction because you love Sailor Moon. And I thought that was just the most perfect answer that anyone could ever give to that. And it was beautiful. If you can find that, it's hard. It's actually hard to find, but I know missdream.net, they subtitled it. I don't know if it's on their site anymore, but you should go check that out because it's really cool to watch. It was a press event. Okay, moving on. We gotta move on. Movie Lover 8065. I think I remember you once saying you didn't like how the live action made Minako's personality. What are some of the things that you did like about Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon? Since it didn't really follow the manga or the anime too closely, what did you think of its storyline? I stopped watching PGSM halfway through, so I can't really tell you what I thought of the storyline, except for the fact that I stopped watching it, so that tells you something. I do plan to finish it someday, but a lot of the big problems I had with it was Sailor Luna. I just couldn't do Sailor Luna for some reason. But you asked what are some of the things that I did like about it. Well, I will tell you for a fact that when it was first announced, I was so excited. And the first episode made me cry. I know that's not a big deal for me because I cry all the time, but you know that I cry when something really moves me. And the first episode of Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon really moved me. Like, it was so cool to see this live action version of it, and it made me so happy, and it was very magical, and I loved it. So pretty much up until they started changing things from the original story, I was in love with it. I was collecting every picture I could find of it. I was even contemplating starting a website about it to share pictures and info on it. So I really did love PGSM for a while. So it's not like I hate it. I just kind of never finished it. So yeah, the opening theme song is awesome. It's fun. Their transformations were very cool. I liked it was the first version of Sailor Moon ever where when they were outside of their transformations, when they were just normal girls, they had normal hair. But then when they transformed, they had the wigs on. And I thought that was so cool. I'm sorry, my puppy is barking at something in the background. But I thought that aspect of it was really cool. We had never seen that before in any version of Sailor Moon. And it even had its own live stage musical type thing. So it was very cool, and there were a lot of things that I really loved about it. And I definitely do want to go back and finish watching it someday. And it's the only version where we saw stuff like Usagi Mamoru getting married, and we saw Sailor V. We actually got like a dedicated act to Sailor V. So there was a lot of things that it gave us that we had never seen before, that we had never gotten before. So there's a lot of things to love about it. Bower Annette asks, if you could continue the original anime, how would you do that? And how would, in your version, how would Crystal Tokyo become Crystal Tokyo in your version if you could continue the anime? The reason I picked this question is because I actually have this little daydream that I've been having in my head for years and years and years on kind of like bits and pieces of a story of how Crystal Tokyo is created. And I guess I can share some of that with you, even though it's going to be in bits and pieces, because it's like it's mostly when I'm just like driving in my car and I'm listening to music that I like. Sometimes these stories just pop into my head, and most of the time it has to do with Sailor Moon, because that gives me like really pretty visuals and characters that I know about to help like kind of fuel these daydreams. And I wrote a lot of fan fiction back in the day, so I'm very used to visualizing things. So part of my story is it's not much of a story. I only have like basically a battle scene where the big bad, like the enemy, is not actually like a person enemy, but it's more like an entity, and it's basically this gigantic crystal that just floats around the universe, and it just so happened to find Earth, and it comes and it like sucks energy and like fuels itself with power and energy and stuff. So it finds Earth, and it starts, consuming all of the energy and life force from everything on Earth. And so of course Sailor Moon and the Senshi have to stop it. So there's like this big epic battle, and I actually visualize like Usagi actually like taking the Ginzuisho and actually like holding it above her head and it coming down, and her actually like swallowing the Ginzuisho, so it's like literally inside her, giving her power. And she becomes basically, I guess, Queen Serenity, and has like wings, and she flies up with a sword and goes and like has this epic battle where she pierces and finally destroys this giant crystal entity, and all of the crystals from this crystal entity that are now purified come and rain down and basically become Crystal Tokyo. This is not based off anything but my crazy daydreams, so that's kind of a very brief glimpse into what, like, if I were to create a story having to do with the creation of Crystal Tokyo, that's kind of what it would be based off of. So yeah. And if any of you have similar stories like that, or you've thought about the creation of Crystal Tokyo or anything like that, or seasons after Sailor Moon stars, definitely leave it down in the comments and share with others your ideas and your stories. And if you've written entire fan fictions, let us know that. That'd be awesome. Okay, so let's get this done. Last question. Silver Anacor asks, do you feel that there's ever a chance that a new or younger viewer who's never seen any version of Sailor Moon might enjoy Sailor Moon Crystal as a show? Apart from the fact that the opening blatantly spoils everything, do you feel the show itself builds enough suspense and character? I'm asking this because I spent the episode genuinely wondering if any new viewer would honestly believe that Minako was the Moon Princess, or if any new viewer would believe that these girls were good friends only because they keep saying they are without actually showing them interact as such. I've kind of been addressing this. This has kind of been a theme throughout the episode here, but again, I don't know what new viewers are experiencing, but I think as a show, especially because it's moving fast, I think that that's keeping people's interest, especially in a time where things kind of are just moving faster in life. We have a million shows we could be watching. We have a million things we could be doing, a million games we could be playing. The fact that Sailor Moon Crystal is giving us very quick story in every episode, I think, is a very good thing as far as new viewers are concerned and younger viewers who are used to things being faster paced. They don't have time for a bunch of filler, you know. So I think in that sense, it's very good. I think that as far as stuff being spoiled, I think that kind of happens in a lot of shows, a lot of openings, you know, kind of spoil things. You know, and again, it's the internet. If you're on the internet at all, it's very hard to not get spoiled, especially for a series that's been around for 20 years. So, as far as like, you know, why should we believe that these girls are just magically friends? Well, you've got to believe that there's a lot of interaction between them going on, not on screen. Just because we don't see it, doesn't mean that it's not happening. And we do see it. We see a lot of, you know, Usagi, sitting with Makoto and Amy, and she's eating out of Makoto's bento box and getting food all over her face, and, you know, while Amy's looking up stuff on her fine pad, and, you know, so, and they were just sitting there hanging out. I'm really glad that we get to see some of those interactions between them, even though the pace is so fast in Crystal. I'm really happy that we get to see some of those downtime scenes. The episode after Makoto shows up, we got to see, you know, Makoto and Amy coming up to Usagi when she bumps into Mamoru. They're all walking together, and then they make fun of her because she was blushing when, you know, she was saying, "Oh, I don't, you know, he's just some guy I know," you know, and she's blushing, and Makoto makes fun of her. Like, I'm so happy that we get to see those scenes, however brief they are in Crystal. We still get to see them, and so I think that's wonderful. So yeah. I think that new watchers of the show will enjoy it just great, and if they enjoy it enough, then hopefully they're going to go out and find one of the many other versions of Sailor Moon that's out there, and find one that they can enjoy as well. I know a lot of people who have started reading the original manga because they started watching Crystal. So, and for those of you who have started watching Sailor Moon because of me, because of my videos, you're especially awesome, and I think that's great that you're giving it a chance. So thank you for that. So that is it. That is all the questions. I'm going to end Crystalcast. I want to end it with recommending a video or channel to you, a YouTube video or channel. So I'm going to do that, but I'm also going to add a section where I recommend a Sailor Moon website, because there's 1,000 million bajillion of them out there. And I love when people tell me about websites that I didn't even know existed. And I'm like, if I knew this existed, I would be using this every day. So I'm going to add that as well. But first, the recommended video for this section, for this episode, I'm tired, it's a fan-made Inner Senshi Eternal transformation for all 4 Inner Senshi. There are a lot of these out there. There's a lot of different versions of these, and there's a lot of them that I like. But these ones by, I'm going to butcher this name, SeraMyu. I apologize for butchering that name, but he makes completely fan-made Senshi transformations and attacks. He has a whole YouTube channel filled with them. The links here, you can check out the video, you can check out his page, which has tons more transformations and attacks. He does a lot of the stuff from the manga. He does the Eternal transformations, and they're completely hand-drawn. There's no like tracing, you know, or just modifying the already existing transformations. Like, they're 100% hand-drawn and created from him, so there are new animations, new poses and stuff, and they're really well done. So please go check those out, and check out his YouTube channel and subscribe. And he also has a DeviantArt page, which has even more of his awesome Sailor Moon art. Sorry for barking puppy. So hard to make videos with barking puppies. Okay, so the recommended website that I'm gonna have for you guys today, actually websites, I'm going to start with shameless plugs, completely shameless. I'm going to recommend my two websites to you guys. The first one is a site that is full of Sailor Moon Crystal screenshots. And these are the prettiest, beautifulest screenshots that come from the episodes. And so just you can go to Sailor Moon Crystal Screenshots.weebly.com. The links are down in the description. So go there, and I put I have it separated by episode, by character, by like transformations and attacks and opening speeches, and I have stuff on there like the Moon Pride music video and the openings and endings. In like some cases, like if there's one frame, like for the ending, if there's one single frame where they don't have text over the picture of whatever's on the screen, I will find that one frame and I will put that one up there. So go ahead and check that out, and you can use them freely for whatever you want to do with them. So check that out at SailorMoonCrystalScreenshots.weebly.com. And the second one is on my longtime site that I've had forever, since I was a teenager, is SeraMyu A lot of people don't know that that is my website, but yes, I have run SeraMyu Antics for many, many, many years. And there's a lot of stuff on there about the Sailor Moon musicals. It's not 100% updated to include Petite, Estranger, but I slowly work on it when I can. So go check out SeraMyuAntics.net if you love Sailor Mew, and you can find go to the video section on that site, and you can find links to all of the Sailor Mew performances that have been subtitled by various groups. And you can find a place to either watch them or download them or stream them or whatever. So yeah, so go check those out. And don't forget to go and check out the links down in the description for the campaign to get the incredible Untold story of Sailor Moon, the book, to get that off the ground, and that'll be really cool when that comes out, and I will give you guys more info on that as I get it. So thank you so much for watching. I think that's about it. I'm so happy I got through everything. So if you liked the Crystal Cast, give me a subscribe and a like. And yeah, and look out for more Crystal Cast videos, and hopefully next time I will have an actual guest here to talk with me about Sailor Moon. So look out for that, and I appreciate you guys watching, and I'm gonna go now. Okay? Bye bye guys, thanks for watching, I'll see you next time. Bye.